Are you a domestic manufacturer of tobacco products with questions about FDA's new compliance policy? Stay tuned for new compliance policy information on this edition of FDA's Tobacco Compliance Webinars. Welcome to FDA's Tobacco Compliance Webinar, Tobacco Product Compliance Policy, Updates for Manufacturers, sponsored by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and the Center for Tobacco Products. Thanks for joining us today. We receive many questions from domestic manufacturers of tobacco products about FDA regulations. As we've done in the past, we'll be answering some of those questions today and giving manufacturers some additional tips on how to comply with the regulations. You will notice that some of the slides have links to relevant information that can be found on FDA's website. We encourage you to review those materials in addition to today's webinar. The purpose of this webinar is to explain FDA's enforcement priorities, highlight some changes that may affect manufacturers, and to provide some tips that we think may be helpful to manufacturers. The topics we will be discussing today include the enforcement priorities for ENDS and other deemed tobacco products final guidance, the September 9, 2020 application deadline for deemed new tobacco products, and tobacco product manufacturer responsibilities. Before we jump into today's content, let's review some basics. Section 900(20) of the Federal Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act, also referred to as the FD&C Act, defines a tobacco product manufacturer as any person, including any repacker or relabeler, who a. manufactures, fabricates, assembles, processes, or labels a tobacco product, or b. imports a finished tobacco product for sale or distribution in the United States. Vape shops are establishments that engage in a variety of activities related to electronic nicotine delivery systems, also referred to as ENDS, including selling a variety of products to consumers, including ENDS devices, ENDS replacement pieces, ENDS hardware, ENDS premixed flavored e-liquids, and other ENDS-related products, mixing and or preparing combinations of e-liquids for direct sale to consumers for use in ENDS, or creating or modifying aerosolizing apparatuses for direct sale to consumers for use in ENDS. Depending on the activities that a vape shop engages in, it may be subject to all of the statutory and regulatory requirements applicable to a tobacco product retailer, a tobacco product manufacturer, or both. A vape shop is considered a manufacturer if it, for example, mixes or prepares e-liquids, creates or modifies aerosolizing apparatuses, repackages ENDS products, or relabels ENDS products. This means that such vape shops must abide by all FD&C Act requirements that apply to tobacco product manufacturers. Manufacturers of tobacco products must abide by all applicable requirements set forth in the FD&C Act, including obtaining marketing authorization for new tobacco products from FDA. Specifically, Section 910 of the FD&C Act requires any new tobacco product to have pre-market authorization. A new tobacco product is any tobacco product that was not commercially marketed in the United States as of February 15, 2007, or any modification of a tobacco product where the modified product was commercially marketed in the United States after February 15, 2007. Generally, a marketing authorization order is required for a new tobacco product unless 1. FDA issues an order finding the product substantially equivalent to a predicate tobacco product under Section 910 of the FD&C Act, or 2. FDA issues an order finding the product to be exempt from the requirements of substantial equivalence, and you make the required submission under Section 905 of the FD&C Act. All deemed products that meet the definition of a new tobacco product are subject to the pre-market requirements in Sections 910 and 905 of the FD&C Act. An example of such a deemed product is an electronic nicotine delivery system, or ENDS product, which includes devices, components, and or parts that deliver aerosolized e-liquid when inhaled. Another example is an e-liquid, which is a type of ENDS product and generally refers to liquid nicotine and nicotine-containing e-liquids, that is, liquid nicotine combined with colorings, flavorings, and or other ingredients. Liquids that do not contain nicotine or other material made or derived from tobacco, but that are intended or reasonably expected to be used with or for the human consumption of a tobacco product, may be components or parts, and therefore subject to FDA's tobacco control authorities. Now, we are ready to discuss FDA's enforcement priorities regarding certain deemed tobacco products that do not have pre-market authorization. In April, FDA updated its guidance for industry entitled Enforcement Priorities for Electronic Nicotine Delivery Systems, ENDS, and Other Deemed Products on the Market Without Pre-Market Authorization, revised. This is a revision to the January 2020 guidance, which describes, among other things, how FDA intends to prioritize its enforcement resources with regard to ENDS products that do not have pre-market authorization. FDA revised this guidance to change the date required to submit pre-market authorization applications to the agency from May 12, 2020 to September 9, 2020. But please note that this guidance does not in any way change the fact that it is illegal to market any new tobacco product without pre-market authorization, or to sell any tobacco product to minors. The agency may pursue enforcement action at any time against any deemed new tobacco product marketed without pre-market authorization, regardless of whether the tobacco product falls within one of the ENDS categories that we will discuss in the next slide. Beginning on February 6, 2020, FDA began prioritizing enforcement of pre-market review requirements for certain ENDS products without FDA marketing authorization. 1. Any flavored cartridge-based ENDS product other than a tobacco or menthol-flavored ENDS product. A cartridge-based ENDS product is a type of ENDS product that consists of, includes, or involves a cartridge or pod that holds liquid that is to be aerosolized through product use. For purposes of this definition, a cartridge or pod is any small enclosed unit, sealed or unsealed, designed to fit within or operate as part of an electronic nicotine delivery system. 2. All other ENDS products for which the manufacturer has failed to take, or is failing to take, adequate measures to prevent minors' access. And 3. Any ENDS product that is targeted to minors or whose marketing is likely to promote use of ENDS by minors. FDA will make enforcement decisions on a case-by-case basis. In addition to the compliance policy as outlined in the guidance and our previous slides, a court case has resulted in a new deadline for the submission of applications for deemed new products, including ENDS. On July 12, 2019, the U.S. District Court for the District of Maryland issued an order directing FDA to require that pre-market applications for all new deemed tobacco products be submitted to the agency by May 12, 2020. On March 30th, FDA requested a 120-day extension of the pre-market application deadline solely as a result of the coronavirus pandemic and exceptional and unforeseen circumstances. On April 22, 2020, the Court granted the 120-day extension, which now sets the pre-market application deadline to September 9, 2020. The order provided for a one-year period during which products with timely filed applications might remain on the market pending FDA review. As a result, deemed new tobacco products on the market as of August 8, 2016, for which pre-market authorization applications are not filed by September 9, 2020, are subject to FDA enforcement action in the agency's discretion. The order does not restrict FDA's authority to enforce the pre-market review provisions against deemed products or categories of deemed products prior to September 9, 2020, or during the one-year review period. FDA intends to prioritize enforcement of any ENDS product that is offered for sale in the United States after September 9, 2020, and for which the manufacturer has not submitted a pre-market application or after a negative action by FDA on a timely submitted application. Now, let's discuss some tobacco manufacturer responsibilities. Vape shops that engage in manufacturing activities also have these responsibilities. If you are a tobacco product manufacturer, including of ENDS products, you must obtain pre-market authorization prior to marketing your product. FDA will determine whether the products meet applicable public health standards and may be authorized for marketing. In addition, per Section 905(I)(3) of the FD&C Act, You must update your product list in FDA Unified Registration and Listing System, FURLS, by December 31st, 2020 if you make certain changes to your product list, such as discontinuing the manufacture of a tobacco product. Tobacco product manufacturers must also submit a pre-market authorization application for any deemed new tobacco product that was on the market as of August 8, 2016, by September 9, 2020. We have some great resources for you on our website, and we encourage you to review these materials. Please also check our website often for updates and sign up for the Center's CTP News and CTP Connect emails. If you have any questions regarding the topics discussed in this webinar, please contact askctp@fda.hhs.gov or 1-877-287-1373. In addition, the Office of Small Business Assistance provides technical and other non-financial assistance to support small tobacco businesses to assist them in complying with the FD&C Act. The Office of Small Business Assistance can be contacted by email at smallbiz.tobacco@fda.hhs.gov. You can also access FDA's registration and product listing guidance at the link provided and send any registration and listing inquiries to our mailbox, CTP Registration and Listing at fda.hhs.gov. You can also access the ENDS Enforcement Priorities Final Guidance that we discussed today at the link provided. Thank you for your participation in this webinar brought to you by the Center for Tobacco Products, protecting our kids and the nation's health from tobacco.